Okay, so let me set the scene for the next story. It's a dark and spooky night in Saskatchewan. It's 1940. It's before yoga pants were invented.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, guys. I know. It's before all that. It is nighttime.
You're being for real? This
is real. 1940 Saskatchewan, okay? And out of nowhere, thousands of Bufflehead ducks, which I don't know if you've ever seen them. They got a kind of a cool looking head on them.
Bulbous.
Bulbous is a great word.
Yeah.
If bulbous was a duck, that would be the Bufflehead duck. Yeah. And they've got like the purple and green in their hairs kind of on their head.
Well, they called them that because their heads are very large in comparison to how the rest of their body works, a lot like buffalo. So Bufflehead is a combination of buffalo head. So it's just
really?
That's interesting.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Did you just make that up?
Did you make that up?
No.
Okay, good.
That's a good one, Jeff.
The more you know. Okay. Here, I thought he was useless. Even you said.
No, you did.
Before he got here, AJ said. No, you're like, hey, what were you guys talking about?
Can't wait till we get to the science on this topic.
That was your point of the story. So what happened was thousands of ducks, buffleheads, rained from the skies in the middle of the night. And there's like some funny jokes. Like there was a newspaper from the 1940s that like had some pretty funny jokes. So like saying duck takes on a whole new meaning. Because they're falling from the sky. Yeah. What was the other one? There was another one that was really good.
There was a couple, and it's an interesting time because this is right in the middle of World War II. So if all of a sudden your roof is just being bombarded by something, and you're sitting in your house and you hear thud 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 thud, it's like whoa, what's going on here?
It's also weird because like
the alarm.
You know when they hit after there was probably like some fluttering, like because they wouldn't all die.
Yeah.
A lot of them were just stunned, and then they were making jokes about it like, all right, well I know what everyone's eating for dinner the next 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Because like so many ducks fell and everyone's picking up and eating them. And then Jeff wants to talk about the science on why this happened. Because at the time where they're like, were all these poisoned? Is this some like biological attack?
Well, they thought that because all of the lights in the city area, at the time, this is fairly new in the area, the electric lights. And they're thinking, they see it and think it's like a shimmering lake. So they're coming in because there's fog and they're trying to land somewhere. And they dive bomb into this lake only to find that there's houses and things. And they're just
destructions
crashing into these houses and stuff. But then there was a local biologist many years later that was looking at it and was like, well, that's not really how it works because there's also a lot of areas where this also happened and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And electric lights didn't even really hit these areas for still a fair amount of time, which is weird because it's the 1940s. You think that's like not that modern, but for sure the light bulb.
They're on their way.
But in more remote areas, they were still, basically dive bombing to get out of this fog. And as it turns out, there's a thing called Rossby waves, which is the Earth's attempt at managing like equilibrium. So like Arctic air moves towards the tropics and tropical air moves towards the Arctic, and it happens way high up. Well, these ducks are flying around, there's fog, and then all of a sudden they get hit with this huge blast of cold air, and they're like, whoa. So they got to dive to get out of it, and they're waffling, coming down. And next thing you know, there's a house or a tree or just the ground. So
and they just all buckled all over the place.
Yeah.
Why can't they just keep flying?
Because it's aggressively
their
cold
best.
and they can't see.
Maybe it's a pressure thing.
The winds are also pretty.
It pretty much
aggressive.
like froze them. Like they weren't working like they should. They were numb.
Imagine you're just walking down the street, and then all of a sudden you get hit with this aggressive gust of like 20 mile an hour of like 20-degree wind when it's like 70 outside.
It's that cold.
Like all of a sudden, it's Arctic air.
It's like that scene from Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, and they're getting hit with this really cold air while they're really high up and there's fog and they can't see. So they panic.
Judge much?
When
he took 2 pilot lessons, now he can fly better than ducks.
When was the birds horror story written?
It's 1940. I think we made that clear.
No, there's a
story.
I know.
You ain't got no culture.
That's Alfred Hitchcock. I took an
Wow.
Alfred Hitchcock class in college.
Wow.
I talk about it all the time with AJ. It's one of the classes I took in college was
Yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock class.
It's not that impressive. You had to pay money to know that.
Well, yeah, he paid to bring.
You were in a
this fact
fraternity.
out.
You paid money to have friends. I don't want to hear about it.
It might be an Alfred Hitchcock movie, but it is not an Alfred Hitchcock story.
Yeah, he didn't write the original.
It is by Daphne du Maurier.
Maurier.
In 1952, which isn't far after when this would have taken place. So I wonder if that could be
I like that.
some of the
early inspiration.
early inspiration of where that
Dramatic
came
experience turns into a story.
There
Yeah.
are a lot of de Mauriers in Saskatchewan. So
from. It would make sense.
I like that. I'm running with it.
Her story. I'm going to look up where the inspiration came from. Inspiration. Okay. Background. Du Maurier.
God, I'm so glad we had Ryan take over the story.
His French is phenomenal.
He's killing it.
Okay, so I'm just going to call her
He
Daphne.
slams his phone down. We're just gonna.
Probably best.
Geez, you're on full Kyle mode, just changing people's names to fit what you can say.
So I wish
Touché.
the inspiration behind this story was a little bit better, but the inspiration for the story was the sight of a farmer being attacked by a flock of gulls as he plowed a field. So that's kind of pretty boring. Stupid story.
I always root for the weird one, weird theory.
Mm-hmm.